Welcome to Real Estate Real World, where we talk to the movers, shakers, and leaders that are getting it done right now in the real estate industry and beyond. I'm your host, Marguerite Crespillo, and I started this podcast simply dedicated to calling people about what's really happening in this crazy roller coaster ride of real estate. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and stay up to date on the newest stuff by adding yourself to the list at www.realestaterealworld.com. Now, let's dive into the world of real estate. Hello, everybody. It's Marguerite Crespillo, and today, another fabulous episode of Real Estate Real World, where we get to talk to all the cool people. It's been such a fun journey. We just hit 35,000 downloads, which is incredibly exciting. And we have now 151 episodes online. So if you have not gone and listened, head on over to any of your favorite podcasts. I can't even name them all, but hop onto your favorite podcast app and be sure to download and listen. We have some amazing episodes. Today is no different. We have a great guest. I first saw this gal speak at an EXP shareholders event last year, and I remember thinking, this gal is amazing. Like, I need to get to know her a little bit better. And we had her on our Tuesday tune-up a few months back. And of course, she did extraordinary educating our agents. If you ever want to follow on Tuesday tune-ups, be sure to get on our list and we'll make sure you get notification of it. But she taught a great training, and I've watched her just skyrocket to success on social media. And what I love most is she is just genuinely her. That's just her. She's not putting on any act. She's not faking it. She's not trying to be somebody different. She's nothing like that. She's just the extraordinary her. And so let me read her bio real quick. So Demeeka Cobb is a licensed broker associate and expert social media marketing coach who helps agents make the transition from average to the authority in their local market nationally. Demeeka, a self-proclaimed introvert, I love that, went from 0 to 300,000 followers in less than 6 months and now has about 1 million followers across all platforms, writes 25 plus contracts per month directly from social media. Crazy. Prior to becoming a realtor, Demeeka spent the last 5 years moving through the corporate ladder from an executive assistant to senior project manager, where she gained her love for coaching and mentoring. Today, Demeeka offers a wide range of coaching programs and services and has taught thousands of agents her proven formula to help them build a sustainable and scalable business without cold calling. So please, everybody, help me welcome Demeeka Cobb.
Hello, Marguerite.
I know. I'm so excited to have a conversation with you. I follow you like I'm like stalker status on social media. And it's just so fun because you make it fun. Like in watching your videos and watching all the stuff you're doing, you're an entertainer first, I think, but you're also educating people in a way that I think people hear it. Because you see lots of the educational stuff and people and you're just scrolling wah, 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 wah. And then you see you and you stand out. Give us a little bit of background. Like, how did you end up getting into this?
Oh my God. You will not believe this. First of all, I'm not a social media person at all. I totally don't like social media, which a lot of people don't know that. I really had a Facebook page when I started doing this, and that's all I had, 200 friends on it max. And then my daughter was like, you know what, Mom, you should get on social media. I had just had my daughter. I have 4 children. My youngest is 3, and I had just had her in August of 2020. And actually had just gotten licensed in August of 2020. And I really couldn't go out prospecting. You know how that is. You got to try to get your clients out there. And
Well,
I
and it was
couldn't because
COVID
I
year
was
too. You had a
it was
newborn and
COVID.
COVID. Yeah.
Oh my God, when I tell you. So my mom was like, my daughter was like, Mom, you should go ahead and do social media. I'm like, social media? I have no idea about social media at all. But I tried it. I got on TikTok and just started just having fun with it, with my awkward self, is how I feel. And it really turned into something great and extraordinary because I really didn't have a lot of knowledge about the real estate industry at the time either. So I used it as an opportunity for me to educate myself, but also educating other people at the same time. And people just loved it. They loved what I was doing. They could feel my energy through the screen. I had people talk to me. I'll tell you, don't understand. When I just saw you, I knew that you were the person that I need to talk to. And I'm like, it's so crazy. But yeah, that's just how my journey started. And it's been just amazing the whole time.
So how did you decide to start on TikTok? And what took you from 0 to, I don't know, how many, do you have 1 million followers on TikTok now?
So TikTok is right at 600 and something, and then Instagram close to 400K. And then of course like YouTube, like right around 17K, and just growing all of those platforms at the same time. So, TikTok really started getting big in the COVID
Yeah,
era.
it did.
And my daughter was like, "Yeah, get on TikTok." Now, mind you, I never really got on TikTok at all. And I was like, "Yeah, okay, this is really not going to do anything." But then what I started to realize was TikTok is really the best way for you to get visibility for any type of business, right? Not just real estate or anything, because of the way the algorithm works for TikTok. So I started educating myself on all of this stuff about social media too. And just started putting videos out, started studying my data on socials and figuring out what times I should be posting and what stuff people were liking from me. And it just took off. And I think in less than 3 months, I had about 80,000 followers on my account.
That's crazy. I'm like stuck at like 1100. I can't seem to bust through that. And then now there's like this whole algorithm where like all of your posts will get like 200 views. And then that's about it. You
Oh my gosh.
randomly, maybe you get 225 or something.
Yes, it's the 200 jail. You know what? My students in my program, they're always like, I'm stuck in 200 jail. I'm like, okay, so that means you need to take a drastic step, which means let's talk about something controversial that's happening in real estate right now. Let's really show your authentic self. Like, you can't just get away these days with just the bare minimum. Like, you really have to show yourself. You have to be comfortable. You have to look comfortable because people can feel that on the screen too. And just get out there and do it.
So what was like the first post you did that kind of just skyrocketed, took off? Do you remember?
I do. Oh my god, if you ever go back and watch my videos, you will just cringe to death, because I do it. But the one I feel like that took off the most was it was literally a trending sound, and I was literally looking to the side, and I'm like, "Ooh, yeah, okay." The words said something like, "Did you know you could buy a house with a 580 credit score? All you need is 3.5% down, your W-2s, something 2 years with your employer." Like, it was basic information. And
Right.
that post probably got like 70,000, 80,000 views, like within
Wow.
the first day. And I was like, this is such simple information. And people were reaching out to me. It was crazy. Like, I could not manage it, Marguerite. It was crazy.
Funny because the only one that I've had that really took off insane, my son for his birthday, I think it was 2 years ago, we did a seafood boil at our house.
Ooh.
And my friend Kim Everson came in. She's from Louisiana. And so she did this whole big seafood boil. And there's a video of my son like carrying the big pot with all the seafood on it over onto the table and like pouring it on the. And I got 10,000. I'm like, I don't even know how I got 20,000 views or something insane. And I'm like, why did that get all those views? This day, don't understand it.
That is so funny. So imagine you had have spun that, right? So imagine you take that same piece of content, you spun it and said something like, imagine your realtor gifted you this after you close, or something like that random. But
Oh, I might have to
put
do
it
that.
you put a real estate spin on it, so people are like, "Oh my god, I want my realtor to do that for me." And it's something simple that you probably could do and you could be known for. Hey, Marguerite gives out the crab boils at closings. I don't know. But hey, it's something that people will never forget.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. So when that happened, then what did you do? Like now you have this video that goes nuts and it sounds like you were getting clients from it even. You were getting your phone was blowing up, huh?
Oh my god, like, I did not believe that people were actually going to call. That's the thing. I didn't think they were gonna call and reach out, and they did, and the phone would stop, like, nonstop, and at this time, I didn't have any systems in place. Like, no way to track any of this, no way to book calls with me, no way to get on schedule, nothing. So I'm building the plane as it's flying. Okay. And I'm just
Love
like,
that.
okay, what do I need to do now? Let me go ahead and put a Calendly link together. Let me build a website. I literally had nothing, Marguerite. I didn't have anything. So I'm building all this as it's going, trying to figure out. So I had a Google spreadsheet at first where I was tracking everything, trying to mark emails. I probably had 500 emails coming in one day of people wanting to do. I'm like, oh my God, I couldn't
That's
manage it. I'm
insane.
just telling you. And that's why my first thing I always tell all of my students now that work with me, your systems have to come first, because you never know what's going to happen. And if it's going to go viral, then what are you going to do? And people are going to fall through the cracks, and you really hurt your brand image with that type of thing. So luckily people were understanding. They saw what was happening. They were like, oh my God, this is crazy. And people were understanding. So it was okay.
So here you are, you're a relatively brand new agent. You hadn't even been in business very long. You throw this video on social media and you get 5 emails from people who are like, I want to buy a house, right? Is that what the emails were? I need your
Yes,
help.
yes, yes. How can I book a call with you? I want to buy a house. I want to sell my house. Like I got so much. I think it's just, I don't know why they felt, I can't describe it other than I was just being myself and they loved that. That's all I can say.
I think that is like what really is the most important part because you're going to attract your tribe, right? Like people
Yep.
who love you and want to work with you are not going to be attracted to me and vice versa, right? You're going to attract people that can relate to you or connect with you in a way that makes them feel good and comfortable. And I think that's a big piece that a lot of agents miss. Like they're trying to be whatever the hottest influencer is telling them they have to be, and they're trying to act like that and replicate it and duplicate it and be. I've seen people go so far as to imitate hairstyles and glasses and outfits
Yep.
and but people can see right through that, and I think when they can see that you genuinely care and that you're genuinely here providing information of value, that's when they really connect.
Exactly. I think that's the most important thing because, first of all, you don't want to work with a client that saw you on social media as one person, but then when they meet you in person, you're not that person. And it
Right.
automatically gives them a sense of distrust and they don't want to work with you because they don't feel that same energy. And the next thing is really just, you have to feel comfortable in yourself. You're working with people all the time. You're working with people in your local market. So, what are those things that you do with them? And you need to portray that on screen because you're right. People can feel that. They know when you're faking, they know when you're imitating, they know when you're not being honest. How do we do, right? We scrutinize everything these days on social.
Yeah.
So, I think it's very important. And I always tell everyone that I meet, I'm fine with you taking inspiration from my content. I actually don't mind it at all, but they're not looking for another me,
Right.
right? So you have to be able to figure out how to put a spin on what I'm doing to make it your own. So I think that's important too.
How do you not get like overwhelmed? Like where I get stuck and Mark, who's my virtual assistant here, he's like, you gotta record more video. I'm like, I don't even know. Like I get so overwhelmed, I think that people do and uncomfortable and you feel dorky and you feel awkward. What am I gonna say? Like, how do you get past that part? Especially with you being an introvert, like how do you get past that?
Yeah, so I think it's more so trying to picture who your favorite person is in your life. Is it your mom, your sister, your kids? Like, how would you talk with them about this topic? And try to just be your fun, bubbly self. So for me, being introverted, but also shooting content in my own comfort, in my own home or wherever, allows me to still be introverted, right?
Right.
But I have fun with it. I truly love to have fun with it. I think that's the most important part. If you're not having fun with creating the content, you're doing it wrong already. Because you should just
Right.
be having fun, just enjoying yourself, laughing, having a good time. And all of that will come through as you're creating your content.
What has been your biggest challenge? Have you had those haters or people who the bots that give you crazy comments and do weird stuff?
Oh man, I've had trolls just telling me I don't know what I'm talking about. She's lying. She's just a realtor. All realtors lie, stuff like that. Or I've had people actually report my account and try to get me banned on TikTok. So I almost had my account deleted before because of that.
Oh,
But it wasn't any videos that were, like, inappropriate or anything like that. It was just people. I think it probably was another realtor. Just they don't want to
jealous.
see. Yeah. But for me, I'm like, okay, there's enough in the world to go around. There's enough business to go around. And like you
100%.
said earlier, who I'm going to attract, you probably want to attract and vice versa. So it's just,
Right.
hey, let's just get out here, let's just do it and have fun and basically help more people buy and sell real estate is what it's all about. But it's not a competition.
So now you're doing coaching and training around this as well, right? What does that look like? And
Yes.
what made you decide to start doing that?
The funny thing was, I wasn't intending on doing this, but I kept getting so many people asking me, how are you doing this? Because literally, when I started, everyone that I talked to that I wanted to ask questions about how can I manage this lead flow, they didn't understand what I meant. When I said I'm getting thousands of leads every month, how do I manage this? Like they weren't, their brain couldn't process it. So I really didn't have anybody to help me. So now when people ask me or they've been asking me, I'm like, hey, this is how you do it. But they were like, man, you need to start something so you can start teaching this because people need to know how to do this for real. And that's really how it was born. I was like, I got enough people asking me that I'm like, all right, here we go. So
Right.
I hired my own coach to teach me how to create something like this to be able to teach people. And the rest is history.
Wow. And now you have coaching students, you have a program. What is it you have?
Yeah, so basically it's a boot camp program where people come in, they get access to the portal, they get coaching with me. I do group coaching calls once a week. We have a client success manager for one-on-one tech support and help and motivational things and things like that. And just the whole thing. So I think it's so important to understand the frameworks of how this all should work because it's not as simple as throwing videos out there and hoping that something sticks. There's a whole process and framework behind how this should work. And of course, I teach my students how to put all their systems in place, what systems they should be, how it should all work, how it connects, connect all the dots. So I think the fact that I had to build this myself is the reason why I'm able to teach the way I am because everything that you see today, I've literally built that from scratch website, logos, everything.
What direction do you think social media is going to be going? I know I've heard of some people who have lost their account on TikTok or have switched and rebuilt it. I'm sure you're familiar right now. I can't think of her first name. Taylor, what's her first name?
Taylor Swift? Oh,
No, the
wait.
gal, she's with EXP too, the blonde gal. She does social media.
Is it Beth? Beth?
No, I can't believe I can't remember her name right now. I can see her
I
face.
can't
She got
think
short.
you.
Anyway,
Oh, I don't know. I can't remember her
yeah.
name either.
Anyway, the thing is that she was had built a huge was similar, I think around the same time you, she'd built a huge following on TikTok, and then she started having issues with it getting shut down and algorithms and stuff. So she just went and she rebuilt the same thing on Instagram. And I've seen a lot of people do that where they like get the following over here and then they take over there. And now it seems like what's rising are the YouTube shorts. I don't know. What is your opinion of where things are going, the direction things are going in social media?
Yes. So, what I have to say, first of all, is you don't want to have all your eggs in one basket, just like she said about TikTok. So,
Right.
you want to open all of these platforms at once and start growing them at the same time so that you can migrate people. So, that's the same thing I did too. I started TikTok and started migrating to Instagram and YouTube. But for me, as far as short form content is concerned, I would say number one is still TikTok, number two is still Instagram. I feel like YouTube is rising. It's coming up there quickly. And you also actually get some really good traction on YouTube with shorts, even if you're not creating any long form content yet. So I teach my students how to create some shorts that are going to really get that traction. And it's been doing really well. So what I would say is use all of the platforms to your advantage. So I do Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok are my four. And of course, there are tons of others, but I would say try to keep all those up so that if you were to lose one or something were to happen or whatever, China comes in and TikTok and we ban that, I don't know. But now you still have something else to fall back on.
How do you stay on top of all the like what overwhelms me is how to stay on top of all these algorithms and changes. Like now TikTok is pushing you to do more than a minute as opposed to doing the shorter form. And I'm like, I get overwhelmed with that even trying to figure out what changed today.
Yeah, and I think that's the hardest part, and that's why a lot of students come into the program because they're like they want somebody that can tell them without having to do the research, and that's the hardest part is understanding how these algorithms work. I swear they change every other day, and understanding what you need to do now, what's not working anymore, how to make sure your sounds are on point, how to make sure you're using the trending sounds that are working. So I think that's the whole part is to have somebody that you know that can tell you that stuff so you're not researching it yourself.
And so a lot of that you're doing inside of your coaching program.
Exactly.
And so what do your kids
Exactly.
think now, the one who told you to get into social media?
Oh my god, they still cringe. They're like, "Mom, my friends saw your post on social media. They know you're on social media," or something like that. Oh my god. And we'll be out in public and people will recognize me and they're just like, "Oh my god, mom."
My youngest son, John, he's a DJ down in San Diego. And so he's been building this following and all that. And he was somewhere with one of his friends, and they're like, "Hey, is this your mom?" And he's, "Yeah, that's my mom." She's got way more followers than you do. Because he was all like, at first, he didn't want me like liking his stuff or promoting his stuff. He's, "Mom, it's just a different audience." I'm like, "Okay." And then now he's gotten some contests. He's, "Mom, you have a lot of followers on there." And I only have like on Insta, I have like 3,500 or 38 compared to his. And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll help you promote it, John." It's like
Yeah,
a
there you
different
go.
audience, mom. I go, "Oh, it's a different audience, but that's okay." So
Yes. And you know what? So the funny thing is, people are always so worried about the numbers. You have 3,500. I think that's really good because it's about quality over quantity. And this is another thing that I teach. Don't worry so much about how many followers you have, that you don't have a million or whatever. That doesn't matter. I have people in my program that have 200 followers that have already gotten pre-approved buyers and sellers that want to work with them because of the framework that they implemented. So it's really just so much so about, do you know who your target audience is? Are you speaking their language on social? And do you have the systems in place to have them come in if they want to work with you? Is all it's about. So yeah,
so
3,500 is amazing.
how did you determine, like, who you wanted to work with? Did you actually go through that process when you first got started, or is that what you figured out as you rolled through this?
Yes, I didn't have anybody to tell me like how I should be framing my even my real estate business from the beginning. I feel like I just hit the ground running with this social media thing. So for me, I really didn't start out with what is my ideal client. I think all of new agents are like first time home buyers, I'll take those, right? So I started
Right.
doing a lot of content around that. But what I realized is that my content was also attracting doctors, lawyers, NBA players, professional soccer players, like the whole thing. So it's wow, although I'm doing this type of content, it's still attracting all kinds of different people. So I have the pick. So I can really either refer something out, I can decide to work with someone personally, I can do whatever I want to do because I have the option now, really, which actually pretty cool.
Are you still pretty active in selling, or are you doing this more focused more?
Yeah, so I feel like I'm more focused on kind of the coaching aspect of it. I do some. So if a person meets me or sees me out in public and they recognize me, like I just had a client that recognized me in Costco and they were like, I told my husband if I pass by you one more time, I was gonna say something. And she did. We got her pre-approved. They're already under contract. They're building their dream home. So it's just super
Wow.
exciting to have that opportunity to help people that actually get to meet me in person. But a lot of people I just get to refer out now, which is still cool, but just a different type of business.
And where are you in the country?
Central Florida, so Orlando.
Oh, nice, okay. XP is gonna be near there.
I can't wait.
HP, I think it's gonna be in Miami. So how far are
Miami,
you from
yes.
Miami?
About 3.5 to 4 hours, so I'll definitely be there.
Yeah, that'll be exciting. So
Yes,
what
yes.
is really next for you? What is it you're looking towards for 2024 and beyond? What are you working on?
So I feel like it's more so more exposure. So I just had a book published and it hit number one bestseller nationally and internationally.
What's in it?
It's a co-author book. So it's Women Who Boss Up in Real Estate 2.0.
I
It can
love
be
it.
purchased on Amazon. We're actually doing a book signing locally here in March, which is going to be exciting. I think I may have told you before that I was a host for American Dream TV last year. So I'm looking for more opportunities like that and just expanding my brand because I feel like there are so many things that you can do once you have that social media presence. It's not just about buying and selling homes anymore. I have brands that reach out to me and I do videos and things for. So I had a movie that was coming out on Amazon Prime. They reached out to me and asked me could I do some videos for them. So I
Wow.
do a lot of brand deals and things just because of my social media presence. So I want people to just remember that when you're on social, it's a whole bigger world out there for you to, and more ways for you to increase your revenue with other income streams. Think about it bigger picture when you're thinking about social.
So who knew? What were you doing before? What made you get your real estate license? What were you doing before you did this?
So I was a senior project manager for a healthcare organization here in Orlando. I actually been doing project management for about 10 years and loved it, to be honest with you. But I was like, you know what? I love real estate too. I love going through model homes, and I really want to be able to help some of my family and friends because a lot of them don't even understand the process, stuff like that. And that's how I got into it. And that's how I started marketing on social media was more so to that buyer that it doesn't understand the process is what I was going for, that first time home buyer. And I just I can't even describe, like, it's been crazy.
Yeah, because December, I've been in real estate 30 years. Yeah, I raised all my kids. My kids are all grown. They all grew up in real estate. And
Wow.
so now I'm like at this phase, I'm like, okay, now what am I going to do? Right? What do I want my life to look like in this kind of next chapter of my life? And It's been interesting to watch because when I first started in real estate, we didn't have social media. We didn't even have cell phones. It's been quite a journey to watch how things have changed and transitioned. I was talking to somebody the other day and they're like, so isn't real estate a lot easier now than it was? I'm like, not really. Like when I first started, our contracts were 4 pages. We didn't have all the stuff that we have. And now it's 10 times more complicated than it ever was. And there's so much more. Knowledge is power. I truly, love that people have the knowledge and the education, but that knowledge can be overwhelming too, right? Because you get so many opinions and so much information that it's really hard to filter through and figure out what applies to you and your situation or not. And that to me has made the real estate process even more complicated because there's so many opinions, so much information, so many things to think about and consider that a lot of people just shut down. They're like, I'm not even going to deal with it.
Yeah.
And that's stuff that I think that having someone like what you're doing on social media helps them cut through a lot of that information because you're providing information that they feel like they can trust you to give them accurate information.
Exactly. And it's not just the information piece from like a this is how you go through the process thing. It's more, are you staying on top of the news that's coming out? Like what's happening today in real estate news, mortgage news? How can I bring that to the people on social media and tell them my perspective on how that's happening? So there was a Airbnb scandal that the article just came out yesterday about a guy who basically scammed people out of $8.5 million over 10 states, 100 or so bookings, but it was all fake. There were no Airbnbs, but he got away with $8.5 million. So that's probably a video that I'm going to be doing here shortly because it's really not about the small bucket of this is how you buy and sell real estate. There's so many other things to talk about. And that's how you become the go-to authority for this type of stuff.
And there's so many. I'm glad you brought that up too. I had no intention of talking about that, but the scam things that are going on are so creative. And I literally had somebody call me this morning at 7:30 in the morning. She says she's from the Department of Homeland Security, and there was apparently a fraudulent situation where somebody was charging cruises, like cruise ship things
Right.
onto credit cards. And I'm like listening to her. I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is a scam. I'm trying to figure it out. She goes, it's not. I need you to go look at your credit card statement. And she goes, is there a charge in November and the charge was only $10. She goes, they tried to charge your account $3,000, but they only got $10. And
Wow.
she goes, and I said, how do I not know this is a scam? She goes, I'm going to send you an email from the Department of Homeland Security and then you can research it or whatever. But I was convinced I'm still not 100% sure that
Yeah.
it's not a scam. But I'm like, how would they know what was on my credit card? And now I was big during the REO days, sold a ton of homes, and we had countless scams of people breaking into houses and renting them out, and the list goes on and on. And that's the kind of stuff that, always I'm trying to make sure that the public is aware of what a lot of these scams are. And things
Yeah.
like that Airbnb, that's nuts. How do you make it to $8.5 million before anybody figures it out?
I have no idea. I'm trying to figure out the same thing. Maybe there were different names and they didn't realize it was all connected. I'm not sure, but I'm like, man, they did good.
I
They
mean, if they
worked
could only
fast.
put those smarts to the good, do something
I'm
good with
telling
it,
you.
it would be, yeah.
I'm
I'm
telling
blown
you.
away at what they do.
Yeah, and that's what I mean when I'm talking about promoting on social. Remember, we have to get people to know and trust us. When you just like you said, someone called you from the Department of Homeland Security and you thought it was a scam. So
Yeah,
imagine when people see us on social, they assume that we're not a real estate agent. We're not even a person that's doing real estate. We don't know anything about it, but we're trying to get them in some kind of way. So you have
right.
to be able to build that trust. And it's hard to build trust through a screen.
Yeah,
So how can you start to build that trust, make yourself relatable? And I think the more you can bring out your own personality and be yourself is how people are going to trust you because they can feel the authenticity
yeah.
automatically.
Well, you know what? This has been incredibly fascinating, and I
Yeah.
just adore you. I've had so much fun watching you on social media, and it's been amazing to just see you grow and take off. And do you have a team or is it just you? What are you doing on the real estate side?
Yep. So it's just me really. And most of my deals I refer out myself to other people. So right now it's just me and I only work with people that I know or something like that personally.
And then do you also have an organization here at EXP?
I do. I do. I
Good.
actually just embarked on that journey of starting my organization probably 2 months ago. Already got, I believe, 6 people in my downline, which is pretty cool for two
That's
months.
pretty amazing. We should talk
But
more about that offline. I'll help you with
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah, so don't just imagine, I can only imagine with some help from someone that kind of knows how to do this thing. And with my presence on social media, I know that I can really help a lot of people. And then, of course, the people that come into my organization, they get access to me and get to learn this whole social media thing because I think it's so important for me to be able to pour into them. So, of course, they can start really growing their business too. So, yeah,
Exactly.
excited for this year. I gave myself a goal of 50 downline people this year. So we'll see how that goes.
You can do it. Heck, if you can get 1,000,000 followers, you can get 50. Yeah.
Hold me to it. Hold me.
I will. It's been such an honor getting to talk to you, and I can't wait to see you live and in person, hopefully in the next somewhere in the next year. I know I'm coming to North Carolina in April for the regional rallies. So I'll be out that direction, but then I'll be out at EXPCon in the fall. So
Oh
hopefully we
yeah.
can connect and maybe we'll do a video or something together. So
Let's do it. Let's do it. Thanks for having
well,
me.
thank you again for being here today. And thank you, everybody, for joining us on Real Estate Real World, where we get to talk to all the cool people, the big influencers, the movers and the shakers, of which Demeeka is most definitely one. We'll have her contact information available in the show notes. Be sure to share on all your social media channels because we love that. You can like us and follow us and give us great reviews. It pushes us up in the rankings. So thanks again for joining us on Real Estate Real World. Go out and make it an amazing day. Thank you for joining us today on Real Estate Real World, where we talk with masters and leaders in the real estate industry and beyond on how we can raise the bar in our industry. Please subscribe over on iTunes, and while you're there, be sure to give us a review. Your reviews encourage us and help others to find our podcast for show notes and hot topics on what's going on right now in our real estate industry. Also, hop on over to www.realestaterealworld.com and add your name to our email to get early advance notice of upcoming podcasts. Thanks again for listening, and go out there and be a part of the elite masterclass and raising the bar on the real estate industry.